Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Today we're going to talk about finding equivalent fractions. Now later this week, as soon as I remember to get some little sandwich bags for y'all, we're going to cut up and you're going to get your own fraction pieces that you're going to be able to use as we move into adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. You can also use that with finding equivalent fractions. So I'm going to show you a couple quick examples of finding equivalent fractions. If we have the fraction 1/2, we have the fraction 1/2. Can anybody think of any fractions that use these pieces up here that might equal 1/2? Matthew? 3/6. 3/6. Let's see if it equals 1/2. And it does. So 1/2 is equivalent to 3/6. 1/2 is equivalent to 3/6. Zoe?
I have 2.
Okay?
2/4.
Just give me one. Thank you. 2/4. So 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4.
Something bugs.
All right, that's fine. It's probably mine. All right, Solis.
6/12.
6/12. Let us see if 6/12. My goodness, that's a lot. That's a lot of 12s. All right. Oh, good. 1/2 is equal to 6/12. Oh, let's go with Erica. 5/10. That's a lot of tens. So 1/2 is equal to 5/10. Oh, that's just awesome sauce. 1/2 equals 5/10. Greatness, greatness, greatness. Tristan.
4/8.
4/8. 1/2 is equivalent to 4/8. Natalie.
8/16.
8/16. Let's see here. 1/2 is equivalent to 8/16.
One more.
And 1/2 equals 4/8. We think we know another one. Let's...
One more. No, it isn't. 1/2.
So yeah, okay. 1/2 is equivalent to 1/2.
See?
All right, we're good with that. So we found all these fractions that are equivalent to each other. And if you notice, equivalent means the same amount. If I cut this half into 3 equal pieces, then that would be the same thing. That'd be 1/6. Because that'd be 3 of them in 1/2. And so 2 halves, which is 1 whole, would be 3/6. Now, the question arises, how, if I don't have fraction pieces, how, for the love of Pete, am I going to figure out how to get from one fraction to another to see if they're equivalent? Sanaya?
You times, multiply,
You're on the right track. Multiply the numerator and denominator
by, what is it? Oh.
by the same number. Good. So for example, in 1/2, Sanaya, what am I multiplying these both by?
3.
3. If whatever I do to the numerator, I must do to the denominator. So is 1 times 3 equal 3?
Yes.
Does 2 times 3 equal 6? Okay. Let's look at 1/2 to 6/12. 1/2 to 6/12. Aiden, what would I multiply the numerator and denominator by there?
1 times 6 and 2 times 6.
Good. So I have to, whatever I do to the numerator, I must do to the denominator. And the 1/2s are very easy. anytime you see a fraction that equals 1/2, you ought to be able to identify it. If I had 13/26, because the numerator is half of the denominator. That's easy. Identifying our 1/2s are easy. And so this shows us how we would find our equivalent fractions. We're using pictures, we're using the models, and we use the math. But what if they only give us part of the second fraction? Oh my goodness, Mr. McMurdo, this is getting so difficult. 1/6 equals blank over 24. 1/6 equals blank over 24. Allow me to get Mr. Shake. Mr. Shake wants to participate
Mr. Shake hates me.
in this activity. Mr. Shake needs to change to this class. Class 2. And Erica! Erica, how would I find, what's missing here? What's that called right there?
The numerator.
The numerator is missing. So how would I find the missing numerator?
If I was in this, I would figure out how many times 6 would go into 24 and then multiply the numerator by
Good. So how many times does 6 go into 24?
4.
4. So if I multiply 6 times 4, then I'd multiply 1 times 4. And my answer is what, Erica? 4. Oh my gosh. That girl right there, brilliant. Brilliant.
Question.
Yes.
I'm just never mind.
That's an awesome question.
Yeah. And
I've been thinking about the answer to that question for 25 years. Never came up with it. I don't know.
Weren't you supposed to add 1 plus 6?
Nope.
You did on the last one.
You multiply. You multiply. So let's look at this one. Let's say 6/7 equals blank over 56. So let me give you a second to look at that. Write it in your journal. Write it in your journal. See if you can figure it out. And then in a moment, I'll team shake it. Just remember, whatever you do to the denominator, you must also do to the numerator. Whatever you do to the denominator, you must also do to the numerator. All right, so you can put your hands down, people. Team shake. I paid 99 cents for this. I'm going to get my money's worth.
Please be me, please.
Sophia! What did I multiply by 7 to get 56, Sophia? What if I asked you 56 divided by what equals 7? There you go. There you go. 7 times 8. If I multiplied my denominator times 8, I must also multiply my numerator times 8. And
48.
Sophia, what is my new numerator? New. What is my new numerator? Easy, Tiger. 6 times 8 is 48. Rock on. Let's try. Ooh, this is a good one. 9/12 equals 54 over what?
That's easy.
So take a moment, look at it, write it in your journal, figure out how it's done. Take a moment, figure out how it's done.
That's not easy.
Oh, Nathan, I know you want to answer this, but I paid 99 cents for Team Shake. I got to use it, man. I got to get my money's worth. See here. Eric!
Yay!
What do I multiply by here, Eric?
6.
So if I multiply not my numerator times 6, my denominator times 6, what's my new denominator?
Your denominator, it should be, I don't even know which one.
72. Thank you, all your Erics that are in this room. Let's take, oh, this is a good one. Let's take blank over 4 equals 12 over 24. Blank over 4 equals 12 over 24. Okay, got it quietly because Team Shake's going to be calling on one of you.
Yeah.
Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous whatsoever. Ladies and gentlemen, you got this. You can do it. I have faith.
I have a question.
Yes, you have a question.
Yes. Okay. So, would you divide 12? Divide by the problem? Then what you multiply?
You can.
You can. Do you?
You can. It depends on how you want to do it. Nathan, help me out here. So let's watch, and we'll talk about both ways.
4 divided by 24 is 6. So then you do 6 divided by 12, which is 2/4.
So yes, dividing works here. So 12 divided by 6 equals 2. We could also ask ourselves, that's not the way it was it? We could also ask ourselves this, Elise.
Yeah.
What did I multiply by 6 or by 4 to get 24? 6. And so what times 6 equals 12? 2. So you can do it either way.
I'd rather do division.
Or what you might want to do is if we had that same problem and we had, what was it again? 2/4. Okay, 2/4, but this was missing, right?
Yeah.
Equals 12 24. Now what else I could do is if it's easier, Celeste, I can change it around because they're both equivalent. And then you can just do it and divide. If you want to always have your blank part over here on the right-hand side, you can set it either way, however you want to. Paul, you have a question? Okay, Paul does not have a question.
Come on, Paul.
He just wanted you to know by him raising his hand to tell me that he didn't have a question. Let's take, I don't know that have I done?
You haven't done me? No, you haven't.
All right. So take a moment and do that one.
Oh, easy. How's that easy, please? You always say that.
Okay? So now it's really, really important to know how to find common denominators as we move later this week into adding and subtracting fractions. So, Caden, what are we doing here to get the missing numerator?
Multiplication.
By 7 times what is 28? Shh. Let him think. What's 28 divided by 7?
128.
How?
128.
No, I'm not multiplying. 7 times what equals, so I want to go 7 times what equals 28? 4. So if I multiply my denominator by 4, I also have to multiply my numerator by 4. And so, Caden, Okay, then, what is my new numerator? 12.
I thought you meant 7
Times 28, yeah. I was like, I know he knows what 7 times what is 28, but you were going, and I could see you getting up over 100. I don't know what he's doing here. I don't know what he's doing here. Let's take 9/12 equals blank over 144.
Nope.
Okay.
That's kind of easy.
Let me take team shake someone. Give you a second to work it out. I got a team shake someone. Let me get a second to work it out.
Got it.
Daniel, what am I going to multiply by here? 12. So 12 times 12 does equal 144. 9 times 12 equals what, Daniel? Say again?
108.
108. 108. So that is finding equivalent fractions in a very clear and concise manner. Hopefully this will help you in the future as you progress through your life and you get into your 30s, 40s, and 50s.
I'm not gonna grow.
When you need to, you're not going to grow that old?
I'm gonna stay at the age I am.
I'm gonna live up and never.
Boom! Shakalaka, peace out, God bless, love ya. Do something kind today. If you haven't subscribed, please do so right now.